My name is Nicholas Pitty. This is the semester presentation for Biology Fall 2022. This is Mitigation of Type 2 Diabetes with Fasting and Ketosis. Type 2 diabetes is a primarily lifestyle and diet-related condition. Genetics does play a role, as well as epigenetics, as we talked about with that class example about boys in 19th century Sweden who endured a hard winter. The next generation and subsequent generations had triggered some sort of epigenetic switch that led to decreased rates of diabetes and decreased obesity. Diabetes is a chain reaction. The first step is the BMI becomes unhealthy, the person becomes obese, insulin receptors begin to develop insulin resistance, beta cells in the pancreas increase the amount of insulin they produce to make up for the deficit. Eventually they can no longer keep up. Beta cells lose their ability to function effectively. In type 1 diabetes, the beta cells in the pancreas lack the ability to produce insulin altogether, and therefore there is no ability to manage their symptoms with intermittent fasting that includes carbohydrates, so they will be omitted. That's why this project focuses on type 2 diabetes. Intermittent fasting is the act of intentionally skipping meals in certain time configurations. Popular schedules for this are 20 off, 4 on, 16 off, and 8 on, where you are limiting yourself to eat in these small windows and fasting the rest of the day. The theory behind this is your digestive system has 20 or 16 hours to fully break down all the food you ate, store its energy, and excrete the waste before you eat again. This diet is very manageable and extremely intuitive. Ketosis is the process of expending all of the stored glucose in your liver and then not inputting any more carbohydrates into your system, but rather seeking to get all of your calories from proteins and lipids. Your body switches from an insulin-glucose energy system to a fatty acid ketone energy system. This is extremely effective at combating type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance because your body has little to no glucose in it whatsoever. The biggest detractor of the ketogenic diet is that it's difficult to sustain, and often our understanding of certain food macros would make it counterintuitive at times. Now that I have discussed the two diets in overview, let's look at some of the data to back their efficacy. It has long been known that restricting calories can reduce body weight and increase metabolic health. A study by Larson-Meyer et al. Showed that a 25% calorie reduction either via diet alone or diet in conjunction with exercise led to improvements in insulin sensitivity and reduction in beta cell sensitivity in overweight, glucose-tolerant individuals. However, several obesity trials have demonstrated that humans have significant difficulty sustaining daily calorie restrictions for extended periods of time. On the other hand, intermittent fasting has higher compliance and has shown promise in the improvement of metabolic risk factors, body composition, and weight loss in obese individuals. So essentially what the end of that paragraph is looking to say is that while reducing overall calorie intake by 25%, a larger population sees that as unsustainable, but intermittent fasting is something that a large group of people could potentially do for an extended period of time. And then in my medical publication source, I found an article that stated, different fasting regimens, including alternate day fasting, religious fasting, and time-restricted fasting, have proven to be strategic importance for glycemic control due to their physiologic effects. According to case studies in randomized trials, therapeutic fasting has been shown to reverse insulin resistance, resulting in the discontinuation of insulin therapy while maintaining blood sugar. So essentially, there is a potential that someone who is an avid practicer of intermittent fasting could stop using insulin altogether. Another unfortunate side effect of diabetes is the large amount of inflammation, both neuro and skeletal muscle inflammation. And we're about to look at an article that shows the link between ketosis and inflammation benefits. Ketogenic diet promotes a reduction in inflammation by inhibition of the NLRP3, NLR family pyrin domain containing 3 inflammasome in lipopolysaccharide LPS stimulated human monocytes, leading to a reduced production of interleukin-1 beta and interleukin-18. This essentially states that ketogenic diet causes a reduce in inflammation. To summarize my presentation, type 2 diabetes is largely lifestyle related. Persons who suffer from diabetes can manage their symptoms with 2 diet modifications. Intermittent fasting is more manageable but has less effect on inflammation. Ketogenic diet combats insulin resistance and inflammation, but is much more difficult to sustain. These benefits can lead to a better quality of life, as well as a longer lifespan for the patient if implemented correctly. Most important is finding a lifestyle modification that the patient can sustain. My final quote states that studies on intermittent fasting have demonstrated their efficacy in glycemic control and other metabolic parameters, including reducing visceral fat and controlling inflammatory mediators and markers such as C-reactive protein and interleukin 6, but controlling obesity is its most significant effect as it acts as a risk factor for type 2 diabetes. My opinion on the science in the article is that I think both diet modifications present viable alternatives to the way we treat diabetes currently, and they both additionally offer solutions to our question of how do we combat the rising diabetes rate in this country. I personally have done both diets and find intermittent fasting to be extremely viable as a lifestyle modification, while I found ketosis to be extremely hard to maintain. I would like to see the people I know living with diabetes try to mitigate their symptoms with these methods, as they propose the only permanent solutions currently available. Thank you for watching.